The Centre for Creative Arts at the University of KwaZulu-Natal is presenting the 4th annual Artfluence Human Rights Festival, a week-long exploration of the power of arts as a defender of social justice and human rights. Under the theme Bridges of Solidarity, the 2024 festival takes place from the 3rd to the 8th of May 2024 and fosters collaboration among 40 cultural producers who will develop strategies that advance shared values. For more on this, we're now joined by Dr Ismail Mahomed, and he is the director of the Centre for Creative Arts at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He joins us now via our video link. Dr Mahomed, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. I mean, just looking at this festival that began on Friday, maybe just tell us more about it. You know, how did this Arts Influence Festival come about?
Thank you very much, and good evening to all the viewers. The Artfluence Human Rights Festival started at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we knew that the arts sector in South Africa had almost shut down as a result of the national lockdown. But we knew that artists were destitute, they were challenged because the entire creative economy had closed down. But we also knew that artists' rights were being violated, and we felt that we needed to engage a festival that would put the focus on how artists play an incredible role in our society, in defending our human rights, in advancing our society, building social cohesion, but that we also needed to protect the rights of artists as contributors and defenders of our democracy and of our constitution. And hence the Artfluence Human Rights Festival was born, and this year marks the 4th anniversary of this festival.
And I mean, this Arts Affluence Human Rights Festival started on Friday. Perhaps just take us through what has taken place so far.
Sure, thank you. We opened on Friday last week by honouring 3 people. Amongst them was legendary theatre makers Small Ndaba and Phyllis Klotz, who founded the SABC Theatre Company, and whose work, Matinda Bafazi, was one of the most iconic works of the 80s, which dealt with women's rights. The work was staged internationally, but that did not just stop there. They continued over the last 40 years to continue to produce work that has contributed to efforts for social justice in our society. We also honored Pei Kabali Kabwa with the Youth Civil Rights Award for her activism in the field of social justice. We then had a performance of Mike van Graan's play My Fellow South Africans, which takes a very satirical look at some of the challenges that we have in our society, which impede us from being able to be the strong democracy or the socially relevant and socially just society that we wish to be. Visiting the festival this year are delegates from at least 5 African countries across our borders, who are members of the African Festival Network, and we're looking at roundtable discussions around the role that artists play across our continent, and how we can begin to move towards the development of an artist charter for all of us. We then also doing a production directed by Megan Furness and Tariq Jenkins, looking at Shakespeare to Gaza, a celebratory work of the voices of young artists who show solidarity with the struggles of the Palestinian people. And we're doing that specifically also to honor the South African nation who took a case to the International Court of Justice and was able to win that particular case. And I think that, for us, is a beacon of celebration in our 30th year of democracy, because democracy is not just about bringing it for us as South Africans, but to be able to be in solidarity with other nations across the globe who are also fighting for social justice, for dignity, and for human rights.
And perhaps tell us, what is the significance of this festival, and why should South Africans come out in their numbers to come and support it?
Well, I think for 2 reasons. It reinforces the important role that the arts play, which is very pivotal to Section 16 of our Constitution, which is about the freedom of expression and freedom of creativity. But we also know that the arts plays an incredibly healing role in reconciliation, in building social cohesion, and in assisting victims of trauma to be able to cope with their past and to be able to build a better future for themselves. It allows us to be able to reflect on what we've achieved over the last 30 years, but it also reminds us of the work that needs to be done in order for us to achieve the vision that we fully set up for ourselves in 1994. The Artfluence Human Rights Festival is one of 5 festivals presented by the Center for Creative Arts at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. The others are our Time of the Writer Festival, our Poetry Africa Festival, the Durban International Film Festival, and the Jumbo Festival. And all of these festivals are anchored on the values of a just society that honors human rights.
And just looking at, the theme for this year, Bridges of Solidarity, what is the message behind this theme for this year?
I think the message for us is absolutely clear, that we know that our 30th anniversary of our democracy was not one only in isolation with South Africans raising their fists, toying and raising our voices. Our democracy was won because of the solidarity that was shown by countries across the globe that identified with our struggles, that contributed to our liberation, and who stood with us through enormously challenging times before 1994. As we honor our democracy 30 years later, knowing that, yes, we're not yet a perfect democracy, we have flaws, there's matters of corruption, there's matters of maladministration, there's matters of state incompetence in places, but there's a great deal that we can celebrate, that we definitely are a far better nation than what we may have been 30 years ago in terms of the rights that we enjoy, and which rights are guaranteed in the South African Constitution, and that we have legislation that gives us dignity, unlike the past where legislation did not give us dignity. So in reflecting on this festival, it's a reminder of where we come from. It's been critical about where we presently are, and it's an opportunity to envision the kind of future that we still need to work towards.
And lastly, we've seen it take place now from Friday. I understand that the public can still take advantage and go out and support this festival, and it does come to an end on Wednesday. What else can those who are now interested expect for the next few days?
Absolutely. You've seen some visuals of the visit that we had at the Artfluence, at the Nelson Mandela Capture Site in Umgeni. Of course, the Nelson Mandela Capture Site is a wonderful partner of the Artfluence Human Rights Festival, and we spent an entire day there today. The museum is open throughout, so it's not just centered around the festival. Anyone traveling through Umgeni or want to come to Durban via Umgeni can visit the museum. They just need to check their website for the times. But tomorrow evening at the Harvard College at University of KwaZulu-Natal. At 7:30, we stage the play From Shakespeare to Gaza, which comprises of some of the famous monologues from Shakespeare, alongside monologues written by some of the writers who were in Palestine at the time of the bombardment, the continued bombardment that is taking place there. On Tuesday evening, Musa Hlatswayo, who's a Durban-based dancer and choreographer and theatre maker, will be performing with his Rubbish Orchestra, which is a kind of public participation program, also at 7:30 in the evening at the Harvard College Theatre. And then on Wednesday, we go to the UKZN Gallery for a digital art and jazz collaborative event. This is going to be quite a lot of fun because it brings all the arts together in terms of visual arts, digital arts, music, and theatre. And it'll be a wonderful round of this year's festival, and following which we will announce the theme for next year's Artfluence Human Rights Festival.
All right, Dr. Mahomed, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. And of course, for those art lovers, you can still take advantage of that Artfluence Festival taking place, of course, in KZN. And, it does come to an end on Wednesday. And that is Dr. Ismail Mahomed. He is the director of the Center for Creative Arts at the University of KwaZulu-Natal.